You seem to have suggested the fact that the Snyder Cut of Justice League exists.
Yes.
What can you tell us about that? Because I'm so fascinated by the idea of a Snyder Cut of Justice League. I wanted to sit down and write a book where I literally just speak to everyone who's involved in it. And this clearly was a project that was, worked on a lot by a lot of different people and changed from what we saw. What do you know about it? What can you tell us about it?
I've not seen it firsthand. And also, to be clear, like I know Zach, but I'm not like, it's not like we're fucking tight, son. You know what I'm saying? Like I've only been in a room with him maybe like 3 or 4 times. Very nice guy. But that being said, I've spoken now to enough people at various levels of production. In that production, there is a Snyder Cut.
Oh,
for sure. It's not a mythical beast. It exists. Now, it's not a finished movie by any stretch of the imagination. There were things that went away from the story that didn't even, that they shot that didn't wind up going into Viz effects or anything like that. So I would assume, based on what I've been told, that large sections of that Snyder Cut are, pre-Viz, lot of green screen. Like, we're not talking a finished movie. When people hear Snyder Cut in their heads, they think about like a DVD they've seen, of an extended cut or something that's finished. The Snyder Cut that, again, I haven't seen, but the one I've heard everyone speak of, was never a finished film. It was a movie that like people in production could watch and fill in the blanks, but was certainly not meant for mass consumption. Now, that being said, we live in a very savvy world now, and even the audience is incredibly savvy. Thanks to years, going as far back as Peter Jackson putting all of his behind the scenes stuff on DVDs.
Yeah.
He raised an entire generation of filmmakers with those behind the scenes videos. People who learned how to do the job and learned how to perform a craft in film based on watching those extras. So I also know, and I feel confident that the audience could handle that cut of the movie without being like, I think there's a common thought process probably within the studio. And again, no studio head said this to me, but I would assume that they're like, we can't show people this. Yes, there is a Snyder Cut, but no audience would be able to look at this and see what the director's intent was. Sorry, I hung up the phone. That being said, I disagree. That would seem like, common wisdom, because everyone always wants to put their best foot forward. But I think the audience now, particularly the audience that would, consume the Snyder Cut and discuss it at great lengths, can watch a work print. They could watch a work in progress and fill in the blanks in their heads. I think, every studio likes to make money. They do multiple incarnations of movies on video all the time. This could just be one more of those. All they have to do is lend their audience a little more credence to be like, look, they'll get it. And put up a bunch of fucking disclaimers, including one from Zack himself at the head of it, going like, obviously the movie wasn't finished, but here's what we were thinking. There's definitely a way to do it. When we did Cop Out on home video, they had this thing called, what was it, like MXM, maximum movie, maximum movie mode or something, where essentially I was doing a commentary on screen while the movie was going on. And, granted, I'm a like chatty Cathy and stuff, so I could fill that time. But they could definitely shoot a version of that flick where, they put him into it, explaining what would have went here, what went there. There are long pockets in those movies where people aren't talking. So it's not like you'd have to stop the movie necessarily for him to explain it. And if he's speaking over a bunch of storyboards or pre-viz shots, to fill in the blanks, I think A, that would get a fuck ton of press, which B, leads to a fuck ton of sales. C, you're keeping your fan base happy and fed, giving them what they want. D, nobody's going to Monday morning quarterback this because let's be honest, most of the people at the top have already turned over in the studio system. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Kevin Tajahara just left. So it's not even like, well, that's egg on his face. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody will be held accountable for the movie. I think that's probably the studio. If I was the studio and I thought like a studio, that would be my biggest concern. They're going to think we're the assholes here for ruining Zack's vision. But I would submit to the court that I don't think anybody's there who was there when those movies were being made.
Right.
So at this point, you know, people could be like, hey, I'm with you. They should have ... And maybe they don't want to do that politically or something like that. But I've never seen a movie act political when money could be made. And I think there's a lot of money could be made from this. I mean, heavens, I was in San Diego and I saw bus stop ads. And more money was spent. Like, so I just, it baffles me. I mean, I guess I understand on one level, they don't want people Monday morning quarterbacking them. But at the same time, most of those cats have moved on and there's a lot of money to be made from this. And think about it. If you do this, that opens up a completely different secondary market where maybe that's a thing other filmmakers could do, where it's like, hey man, you want to see my version of the movie? It's going to have a lot of rough shit in it. But like, you know, the same way that at one point, nobody in this business thought that anybody cared about cut footage, deleted scenes, or behind the scenes documentaries. And then DVD proved that completely wrong. The audience is savvy enough. Once they've consumed the movie as the filmmaker is intended, if the filmmaker is remotely comfortable with this, put out the work print, man. I'll pay for it all over again. Particularly in this case, because the man clearly had a vision, the vision that was completely interrupted.